In jest, I refer to myself as Winnie's mom because it is an all-encompassing role. I am her chauffeur, her chef, her dog walker, her groomer, her partner. She lives with me, so whenever you see me, she is not far behind. Anytime I'm here, she's with me for work. So her official title, she's a community resource dog. That's kind of like the title of how they're referred to in the police world. But she serves as a therapy dog. People definitely know who I am across town. I was just working a detail the other day and someone stopped and rolled down their window and they're like, "Are you Winnie's mom?" Yes, I am Winnie's mom. That's honestly how I introduce myself sometimes because it's just easier to say than my name. And people know you. People want to stop and talk, and that has actually been so valuable for me on patrol because people do know who I am. They've had interactions with me like, "Hey, we met you at Fisk at the, X, Y, and Z," and it translates to when I actually am interacting with the community on a more serious note. So she's done exactly what I wanted her to do. She has given me another language to speak with the community, a more positive-based way to go out there and do my job. So obviously, I had already mentioned there are traditional canines, right? I was at a junction in my career where I was trying to figure out where my niche was and where I kind of wanted to really hone in on what felt natural to me. So I was pondering like the school resource officer position, and I was just really trying to find where I fit. And a friend of mine at the time actually said, "Hey, there's this Walpole officer who is working out the kinks of a program where he's going to have basically a therapy dog, not a canine, but a therapy dog that he would bring out to events and bring to schools that would be helpful for more social focused matters." And I was like, that sounds so far-fetched. I can't see anyone buying that. But I was like, wait, wouldn't that be awesome though? Wouldn't that be awesome to kind of pioneer that type of program? And I ran back to my department and I was talking to a sergeant at the time and he's like, "Honestly, run it up the stairs, see what they think about it." And I sat down with the chief and the deputy at the time and I was like, "Hey guys, I have this really great idea. Please be open-minded. This could be really great. We're really progressive. We really like to be the first, boots on the ground." And the deputy at the time, who's now the chief, looked at me and said, "Let me guess, you want a dog?" And I was like, "Yes, you could have told me so I didn't have that much of a lead in." But they basically, I'm pretty sure they had heard of the idea, however, and they said, "Listen, go do research, go figure it out, come back to us with some answers and a plan, and then we'll revisit it." So from there, I took it very seriously. I went out, I did the financial research, I looked up, obviously, expenses and what that would look like. Looked up all the different ways that these dogs would and could be used. And then I actually got that Walpole officer to come here and give a full PowerPoint presentation to all of the powers that be, including the chair of the Board of Selectmen, school resource officers, our command staff, anyone that could have a say in a decision like that, because obviously she'd be kind of focal to the schools. And from there, it was like, yeah, sounds like a no-brainer. And we were part of like the original 4 or 5. So I call her the OG because it was just a group of 4 or 5 dogs that really came out at once. It was us, Needham, Weymouth, and Rentham. Those are the original 4 other than the Walpole dog. The way that it worked with that Walpole officer, and I will give him credit, his name's Tommy Hart, okay? He's the original pioneer of this entire program. He had met Pauline Hogler, who runs, it's called GOFI for short, but it's Golden Opportunities for Independence. She has been breeding this particular type of golden retriever for years. And she had been breeding and training service dogs specifically for people who have like mobility issues, anxiety, whatever the case may be. That was her bread and butter. So when she met Tommy, this like genius just kind of happened where it was like, how can we incorporate this into like community policing? How can we figure out a program for these dogs that we could utilize out on the street? So it just kind of took off from there as far as I went to Pauline. I was like, "Hey, I am trying to sell my department on getting a dog. Like, give me everything. Give me the facts, why this breed, why, what does training entail? Basically, give it all to me. And by the time it came to fruition, it was like, all right, we're going to go pick our dog. Winnie, in her litter, was one of the only ones from her litter that wasn't chosen. So she was like four months old, and she was the kennel puppy. So she hadn't had any takers, and I went and saw her, and we were doing kind of a demo where all the puppies available were, showcasing their puppiness. And one of the trainers grabbed a bag of like chicken and was holding it up. And this girl was the only one who just patiently sat down and looked up for her chicken. And I was like, that's my girl. And Winnie, I wanted to stay true to the Wellesley theme. So I was trying to think of W-themed names. And I joke that she's just naturally been a grandma since I got her. She's been so naturally docile and calm that Winnie just fit. So for the Boston Marathon, obviously, all of us in Wellesley work. And I am usually stationed at Wellesley College. And I always have her with me. So it's this running joke for years now that Winnie sleeps through the Boston Marathon. So people will joke and be like, all she does is sleep. But it just means that she is so well trained that she is so unfazed by these thousands of people galloping by her in this vastly attended community event that she just passes out on 135 without a care in the world. So people the whole day are, it's the sleeping dog. They're just running by and like, oh my God, I wish that was my job. And so she is a fixture in events like that. We've done blood drives, the vaccine clinics for COVID. We go to all of like the fall festivals and all of like the kids' school concerts, and I get messages on her Instagram all the time, like, can Winnie come to this? Can Winnie come to that? I am just the vessel that helps her do what she needs to do at this point. And a day in the life, it is a flip of a coin. So we're on day shift, so we work 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on a rotating schedule. So if we're coming into a day where we have something pre-planned, usually if there are events at the schools or community events that we're scheduled for, we try to adhere to that. Unless the universe has different plans for us that day, then we are going to whatever calls for service we could be helpful at, in addition to just whatever typical patrol functions we have as a responsibility of that day. So in one particular incident, we had a motor vehicle crash where a very young driver accidentally hit an older person while they were crossing a crosswalk. Naturally, this is extremely stressful, emotionally driven for both people involved. The younger driver obviously was experiencing a lot of stress and ended up having a very significant panic attack on the side of the road. So Winnie and I went down there, and this driver ended up literally sitting on the sidewalk just hyperventilating into Winnie. But she had dogs at home that were typically a big form of like soothing and stress release to her, that seeing that, she just completely latched on to Winnie. It was such a invaluable resource to have at that moment because she was inconsolable. And it was just like, dogs speak a universal language, and she was just like, this is what's going to help me right now. I pride the whole program on the fact that if I'm walking through the square or if I'm just grabbing a coffee somewhere, people will stop to interact with me long enough just to ask permission to pet the dog. That's my in right there. So these people presumably could have just walked right by me, seen me, whatever, had no reason to interact with me. But now people of all ages stop because they want to pet the dog. They want to ask about her. They want to show me pictures of their dog. They want to talk to me because dogs are, like I said, they're universal. And it automatically makes me more approachable, and it makes me more of a human being because we're talking about dogs. Like, they have dogs, I have dogs, we have something in common here. It gives me ground. She, of course, by now is a fixture of the station. Obviously, at first, it took some getting used to. There's, some rogue dog hair in random places now. And you can't go anywhere and just assume anyone's a dog person. But as of now, she sleeps through roll call. It's just accepted and known that, Winnie's kind of just a speed bump in the middle of the room until she hears a bag crinkle down the hall. She actually has a daily trick-or-treating route because she knows who in this building will give her food and who has dog treats. So she will go shopping to all of the offices that she knows she'll get a reward, and eventually comes and finds me. But she's just one of us at this point now. We've got people will be like, oh, she was, sitting by the back door. I thought she had to go to the bathroom, and they will go take her out to go to the bathroom. She's just one of us, and especially if we've got some stuff going on here, usually people will kind of flock to her and just pet her and, just decompress. They'll just kind of grab her and be like, oh, hey, Win. We benefit from her just as much, especially when I'm driving around in the car. So my cruiser is set up that there's basically a gate, and I always have it open. So if I'm on a car stop or I'm running radar or I'm doing something on the road, she'll pop her head out, kind of check out what we're doing. And it's just having like a partner the whole time. I'll express my traffic, venting to her, and if I'm taking too long on something, she'll pop her head in and be like, what are we doing? Let's go. It's nice. It's definitely given me a lot of personal support as well, just to kind of have her on board.